Today we welcome a full-time indie romance author who built a prolific career with around 28 published books since she started publishing in 2017. Also a USA Today best-selling author of contemporary romance. Today we say hello to Nicole French. Welcome to Writing Inspiration with Marquee Books. Hello,
Hi.
Nicole. How are you? How are you
I'm
feeling
great.
today?
I'm great. Thank you. I'm psyched to be here.
Well, it's nice to meet you. So tell me, Nicole, how everything started? How do you become a writer?
Oh gosh. It's a little bit of a cliche. It's one of those things I always wanted to do as a kid. I've been writing since I was young, but I sort of had a roundabout way to it through, I was an academic for a long time. I taught university, and when I ended up taking some time off, I started writing again.
Yeah, it is kind of, usually it's like that. On university, I have heard the same story about people restarting writing on the university.
Yeah. I think there's a bunch of us out there, at least in romance that I know of, that are former like recovering academics that used to be university professors or instructors, or I know a lot of lawyers too. There's a fair amount of us out there.
I suppose that once you're there, you just have the time.
Not really. It was more of a, take like you do it to kind of save your sanity. Academics are pretty overworked actually. So, you end up writing for pleasure in your own time just because it's something you need more than anything else.
That's okay. So, did you like bring to life many stories you wrote as a teenager?
No. No, and the stuff that I've written now is more, it's definitely, I write romance, so it's more adult oriented.
Okay. So, did you get inspired by the work of another author or something?
Of course, I think any author that says they haven't been inspired by others is lying. Frankly, like we all read each other. Any author is probably going to be a reader as well. So there's lots of authors that I'm inspired by. It kind of depends on the genre, you know. I love really smart romance that's written, with a little bit more than just standard trope development. So that adds a little bit more in there. I think Ali Hazelwood is a fantastic author that's writing right now. I'm in terms of fantasy, and I've written some fantasy as well. I'm a big fan of really research-based fantasy that builds big worlds. So I love former academics' work like Diana Gabaldon and Deborah Harkness and things like that because they bring their work into their writing.
Nice. Okay. So, what's your day job usually?
My day job is a writer. I'm full-time. That's what I do.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
great. It's amazing. So, how many books do you have out there right now?
I've kind of lost track. I think it's somewhere around 28, something like
Wow,
that.
that's
Yeah.
big. So, do you have like 10 years doing this already?
I started publishing in 2017, so 8 at this point. Yeah.
That's amazing. Most people tell me that they start during the pandemic, during the
Nope,
pandemic.
not
Yeah,
me. Yeah, I started earlier than that.
that's great. So, tell me, do you have any hobbies that inspire you while writing?
I mean, I don't do things while I'm writing, but yeah, I have lots of hobbies. I'm a trained musician. I played soccer for a long time, so I'm still very active. I do yoga and I lift weights and I do things like that. I'm pretty busy with my family, so I have a kid. He's a full-time athlete as well, so there's lots of sports involved there. I'm a big thrift shopper. I love fashion, so that finds its way into my books, and I also love to cook. So there's lots of
Oh, that's fine.
food in my books too.
Yeah, I can see it. Well, at least you're busy enough, so in case you get like stuck, you can always go to do something else.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, tell me, did you ever thought becoming a writer will be your life?
Um, yes. I know people say I can't believe it, but honestly, I can. That's what I wanted to do for a long time. And even when I was in college, before I started down the academic path, I got a degree in creative writing, and I was doing workshops, and I was publishing back then as well, more short stories and things like that. It's always been what I wanted to do. So, and sometimes you just have to believe in yourself. I knew I had stories to tell, and I wanted to do it.
Oh, yeah, that's actually important. So, how long did it take you to finish your debut work?
I wrote it in probably about the first draft in like a few months, and then I put it aside and didn't look at it for 4 years, which is like my biggest regret. Um, I wrote it in 2013, 2012 maybe, and then I put it in a drawer and didn't think about it for a long time. And then I came back and worked on it for another year before I published it in 2017.
Wow. And after that, you worked on 28 books in 8 years. So it was like three or four every year?
Yeah, it's about been that.
Wow. That's amazing. Most authors, do like two in a year.
Yeah, I've definitely slowed down. I think I was writing a lot more in the beginning. There's sort of a high when you first publish. You get really excited, you've got lots of creative energy, and 7 years in, I'm slowing down a little bit. I'm trying to make it a little more sustainable.
Yeah. So tell me, do you have any advice for new writers starting right now?
I would say number one, read and read books that you think are better than you. You'll learn more. And I would say number two, find a community that will tell you the truth. You don't need people that will just tell you, especially when you're first starting out, that you're great. It's nice to hear. And maybe it's true a little bit, but everybody needs that person who will say, that sucks, and this is why. If you don't have that person in your life, you're not ever going to get better.
That's true. I do have the luck to have find an editor that never means his words when he's telling me stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was at a book signing last week, and I was there with a friend, and people were coming up, another writer friend, and they were coming up and asking me which books I like. And the joke that I was making was, I'm not actually that nice of a person, so you can trust me when I say this is good, and I am actually a perfectly nice person. But the point is that I'm honest, and that's what you want in your life. You want people who will be honest with you.
True. So, do you edit your own books, or do you have people that help you?
Yes, yes. I am an independently published author primarily, and I have been published through other people, but yeah. So I don't edit my own work. I don't have that kind of hubris. I work with a pretty extensive group of editors, beta readers, people who go through the text and tell me what they think about things that are, you know, from everything from the plot to cultural sensitivity readers, everything. And then I also have extensive proofreaders that go through the books as well. So
Right.
it takes a lot of people to put out a good quality book.
Yeah. So, what's the most difficult thing you struggle when you start writing?
I don't actually find it difficult to start. I find the middle of the book the hardest. When I start, I usually have lots of ideas. It's easy for me to come up with characters and plot lines, and I get really excited really quickly. So that's not the hardest part for me.
Well, yeah, that's true. Tell me, what is your writing routine? Are you a planner, a plotter, or improvise?
Oh, I'm a plotter. I would actually, I'm a plotter. I write pretty extensive outlines, but inevitably I end up kind of moving away from them and doing some other things and then having to go back and change them. So I kind of like to call it being a quilter, where you write pieces and then you put them together and you sort of have this master plan, but it has to change as you go.
That's true, because sometimes you just get a better idea.
Hmm.
Do you do anything in particular when you are like having a block or something?
I think the best thing to do is to get up and move and change where you are. So if I'm having a block, I will usually put it away and I will go out into the world and do other things for a day or two. And it usually getting energy from other people, going and experiencing things, anything will inevitably give me some more ideas and get me more energized to go back to what I was working on.
Yeah, and especially in your genre, which is very related to human relationships.
Yeah, I think it's really important. It's not to just sit at home all day long. I actually, we're in my office right now, but I spend a lot of time actually outside my office. I work in coffee shops. I work in lots of social spaces where I can just observe people, and it's fascinating. I pick up a lot of things there.
Yeah, at least you always have something to see. So, do you have a story of how you named your books?
Most of my books are primarily named based on what the trope and content is. I'm not very sentimental about my titles. I know some people are, I'm not.
So, what is your most recent book about?
So my last book that I came out with was called Boyfriend of the Hour, and I'm actually really proud of it. It's a fake relationship book. It seems like it just meets the standards. He's very rich and she's poor and she needs a place to live, and they sort of come up with this deal. But I'm really proud of it because of the representation of neurodivergent people. Both of the characters have different neurodivergences that they help each other understand. And so a lot of the arc is about coming to terms with that. And that's something that's really close to my heart as a neurodivergent person, with lots of them in my life as well.
That sounds lovely. So, can you tell us a little bit about your debut work?
Yeah, I mean, it came out a long time ago, but Legally Yours was written, like I said, in 2013. It's about a law student in Boston who kind of stumbles into a house late at night, and it turns out to be her boss's house, and they fall in love. And it's this very tumultuous love story between these two people who are very strong-willed and have lots of issues to work through.
Oh, yeah. Usually it's like that. So,
Yeah.
what is your favorite book that you've written so far?
Um, so the joke among most of my author friends is that your favorite book is often the one that's not the most popular, and that's definitely the case for me. My favorite book, other than the last one, I really liked my last one, which did pretty well, Boyfriend of the Hour. But I also really like a book called Hollywood Secret, and it takes place in my hometown outside of Spokane, Washington. It's a little different from what I write. It's sort of a suspense, the story of a guy who is very mysterious. He lives in the woods. He's a bit of a hermit, and it comes out that he's an actor who faked his own death. And that was inspired by rumors that James Dean did the same thing, that he didn't actually die but escaped to Canada and just
The
lived there.
idea sounds actually quite interesting.
It's a good. I love this book, and it's every time people ask me what they should read of mine, that's what I recommend.
That's great.
Thanks.
So, what is your largest goal or dream right now as an author?
Oh gosh, I mean, who doesn't want an HBO series based on your books? You know, who doesn't want to be Julia Quinn or be?
HBO instead of Netflix. Ooh la la.
Yeah. Who doesn't want that? I don't know. It's hard to say. Other than that, you know, I'd love to move genres. I'd love to grow my fantasy side. I haven't written a lot of that, and that's definitely a goal of mine to be able to spread out. I'd like to expand a little bit beyond just standard romance and explore kind of what else I can do. But yeah, I'm not too unhappy. My career's been pretty great. I feel blessed.
Have you ever thought on trying other genres?
Yeah, I have. I mean, I have lots of ideas, and there are things that I write. It's very possible it will come out under a different pen name at some point. Most of my readers know me as Nicole French, and they expect romance and a certain type of literature. But yeah, definitely.
I mean, if your specialty is romance, doesn't mean you can, mix it with something else. It could be a romance.
Yeah, definitely not. It's just, yeah, so we'll see. You never know. I'm not going to say what I'm thinking of at this point, but yes, I do.
That's right. So tell me, do you have like a support network with other writers?
Yeah. No, I really do. I'm so grateful for the friends that I've met through this community. I live in Portland, so there's a lot of romance writers actually that live here. And when I moved here a few years ago, we all got in touch, and there's a few that I actually work with consistently. We meet up. A lot of times when I'm at a coffee shop, you will see me there with another writer. And I've done that also in Seattle, where I lived before here. So, and I'm, just in terms of the virtual network on social media, I've been able to make some amazing friends through this community. So there are people who I really trust when I'm working through a book, or I have a new cover, or I have something that I can reach out to and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or do you want to help me? Will you give me some advice here? And they do the same for me, and we do that back and forth. So it's lovely to have a community in a job that could really be very isolating otherwise.
Yeah, that's true. I also struggle with meeting people too. So at least you're in Portland. I have heard that there's many book festivals there.
I mean, yeah, there's signings and book events and things like that. I would say Portland's a pretty bookish city overall.
Yeah, Seattle, Washington, New York, tons of festivals.
Yeah, I haven't, I don't go to a lot of the big ones, but I've been to several signing. I was just at a signing event last weekend here in Portland.
Nice. So, do you have like any talk experience with readers that you remember fondly?
Yeah, I do. My readers are fantastic. They send me messages. I don't always get back to them. I'm pretty bad about that, but they do. They send me lovely emails and messages and things like that on social media when they really love my work. The best one I ever got was really touching. It was somebody who read actually my debut novel, and she was coming out. she told me that the book inspired her to leave an abusive relationship because it reminded her of what love should really be like. And I got to say that was like, I felt more honored by that than I think anything else.
Yeah, that's a nice memory. So tell me, how do you handle the challenges of marketing and stuff as you are self-published?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge part of the job, and I think that it is a part of the job that's really under-recognized, frankly. If you are looking at somebody who's been independently published, they're doing probably marketing about 80% of the time. It's a marketing job more than a writing job to be a publisher.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I handle all of the creative elements. I work with the team to do that, but as a publisher, I'm a creative director. I manage campaigns. I'm an advertiser as well as a writer and all of that stuff. So
And a designer.
yeah, you have to do all of that. So there's a lot of different things that go into that. And I feel I'm grateful that my background actually kind of qualifies me uniquely to do that. When I was in an academic, I was teaching writing classes, but I was also specialized my research in visual studies as well as statistic-based research. I was a little bit all over the place. So I have a really good background in things like composition theory, graphic design, as well as looking at the data that's needed to analyze, good marketing and see if it's effective.
Wow, you have everything covered, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not perfect and I definitely need help and I have help and it's great, but it's given me a pretty good umbrella to look over my business and make it as successful as I can.
Did you make like your own social media content in them?
I do make most of it, yeah, myself.
Wow, that's great. So tell me, what are your plans for the future? Are you planning to go to an event soon so people can meet you?
I don't have anything major planned. I just did the signing with a friend last weekend. I was supposed to be at one next weekend, but I had to cancel for a family thing, unfortunately. But hopefully I'll be at some signings next year. I'm talking to some people in Seattle. I'm hoping to appear at a signing up there. So it'd be great to meet up with readers.
That's great. Tell me, are you working on a series or sequel for your recent book?
Yeah. So I actually have a new release coming out in August. It'll be the sequel to my release from last year. It's called Boss of the Year. And it's in the same series. So the series follows different people in the same family. So the next book is a retelling. It's loosely inspired by Sabrina, which is such a classic movie, Billy Wilder, Audrey Hepburn, and Humphrey Bogart, and you've got the two brothers and the makeover and the whole thing. And so it's loosely based on that. I'm pretty excited about it.
That sounds great. So tell me, in which platforms we could find your books?
So my books are primarily on Amazon, especially under the Kindle Unlimited program, although I do have some limited books available on pretty much every other wide platform that you can find. So
Okay. Do you want to share your social media so people can know more about you?
Yeah, so they can find me either on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, all with the same handle, which is author Nicole French. And I'm there.
Okay. Well, Nicole, I think that's all for now. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you so much for answering our questions.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Maybe we can do a little bit more when you publish your next book. Knowing you probably will have 3 more the next time we see you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Bye, Nicole. Nicole's conversation was quite interesting. We learned some things from it. For example, we need to learn to find honest feedback. One of her strongest lessons. We shouldn't surround ourselves with people who only praise us. Constructive criticism is essential for improvement, and we shouldn't forget that to protect our comfort. Also, writing is only 20% of the job. As an indie author, Nicole spent most of her time doing marketing, branding, and managing her business. Because in the end, indie is basically having our own businesses. So it's the same for most of us. So it's always recommended to prepare ourselves the best we can. Learn, study, everything you might need when you are to publish your book. So we don't run into a wall when we are starting this endeavor. Well, thanks for coming and joining us today. If you find this episode inspiring, like, subscribe, and share this video. And give Marky Books a try in the link below. Have a nice day and see you next week. Bye.